Hello my friends and welcome back to the rabbit hole. In today's video, I'm going to be doing this look with clean makeup products while we have an honest conversation about clean makeup. We've got an entire box of clean makeup products that I want to try on in this video. I'm going to tell you my thoughts on the brands, I'm going to tell you my thoughts on the products, and I'm going to tell you a whole lot about my thoughts on the clean makeup movement. Let's get started with an eyeshadow palette. This is from PYT Beauty. By the way, everything in this video I did purchase, and not because I'm scared of other makeup products, but because the product itself appealed to me. That's it. That's the reason I buy anything that I buy. So I guess I'm going to start with Sand Dune, which they're saying base lash to lid. That's going to be a transition shade for me. And let me start by telling you a little bit about my background, because I know I've said in several videos now that I come from kind of hippie parents, and that's true, I do. I come from well, I don't know if that's the right word, because I met Woodstock hippies, and I was like, oh, not that. Here's the best way for me to explain my mom. So, if Instagram existed in the 70s, 80s, her Instagram profile would have been a yoga pose, and her description would have been health, wellness, vegetarianism with the little plant emojis. See, I feel like now you all absolutely understand what I'm talking about, and you know what I grew up in. And yeah, I grew up in that. My parents were vegetarians before they had me and my brother. Also, my parents did have me and my brother at an older age. They were in their 40s, which is something that it's so funny, you never stop to think that that what you grew up in might be different from other people's experiences. And, I really just thought that this was how everybody lived their life. Forget these, the sugary cereals I saw in commercials. I thought that was a very rare thing, and that everybody was eating granola for breakfast, There is a very specific moment in my memory where I really figured out that there were some differences in the way that I grew up, and it was at a slumber party in middle school. One of the girls that was there turned to me and she said, "Alice, how do you feel knowing that your parents are going to die before ours are?" What an absolute little brat. I love being older. I know we have such an emphasis on youth and how much we glorify it, but I love being old enough at this point in my life that if somebody said that to my face now, I would never talk to them again. But this was middle school, and you're not good at picking friends yet, So while I'm sure that what was going on was just a situation of this girl probably didn't like me, those words, boy, did they stick with me. They absolutely stuck with me. So deep down, that began a long and drawn-out journey of me being concerned about my parents' health. I really was, stuff like that. It hits you at the core of your existence. I came to a realization. My parents were actually really healthy, but at a certain point, I felt like I was really asking, what did my parents do right? What did they do right to be now in their 70s, and they're doing fantastically. I think what I'm trying to get at here is that it is always true that our experiences shape us as a person. In my childhood and growing up, I feel like I was exposed to a lot of the good things in the natural community, but I was also exposed to a lot of aspects that I didn't like. I'm going to tell you right now, as somebody who grew up in that world, a lot of people within the health and wellness community do not ever want to let on their humanness. In other words, you can't say you ever get sick if you are a wellness advocate, and I disagree with that because every one of us gets sick. It's kind of the way that sickness works. You can eat a healthy diet, you can supplement with vitamin C, and it may help to reduce the duration and severity of your cold, but you're still gonna get a cold. And that's okay. It should not be a reflection of you failing at wellness. I'm currently using the eeeeh Limitless Mascara, which is a darn good mascara. Clean or not, dang, it's a good mascara. Truth be told, I do think that the choices that I made in terms of what I studied in school, what I do for a living now, were very much influenced by, you know, the way that I grew up. I got a degree in religion, I got a degree in psychology, and I got a master's in nutrition. I guess I'll try out this eeeeh True Skin Radiant Priming Serum. I don't really think this does a lot, but it's better than my other options for this video. I did not study at some holistic type of school. I went to the University of Florida. Hold on. And what I learned in my degree program was how to do research. That was the whole point of my degree. It is not I did not get a degree to become a dietitian. I got a degree to become a biochemical nutrition researcher. And so I learned every aspect of research. And to be honest with you, that experience that I gained, especially because I was on an assistantship, which means I was working in addition to getting my degree, it was so invaluable. I learned everything about research, and that's why it's easy for me to read research, because I know how it works. I understand it. I understand the IRB. I understand IACUC. I guess I'm going to use this Atmosphere Luminous Foundation from Vapor Beauty, but I'll tell you more about Vapor later. This is shade 90. Their shades make no sense. We're going to have to switch to a different foundation. I don't even know why I tried to give this one a second chance. I know it doesn't go well. All right, trying this again, reapplied the primer, now using the Bite Beauty Changemaker Foundation. But I'll tell you guys what, I am a firm believer in silicones in my foundations, because every single time I have a foundation without silicone, like that one I was just trying from Vapor, same deal every time, same deal every time. But I think that's how I end up confusing people. They find out that I studied nutrition, that I'm into skincare, that I'm into fitness, and they're like, oh, okay, so we're on the same team here. Parabens are the worst thing ever. And I've read the research. There's pros and cons with parabens. Formaldehyde releasers, don't want them in a lot of my products, not opposed to trying them. Talc, don't love talc in my beauty products. That's actually a fantastic example. Ooh, let's talk about talc. Basically, here's the bottom line for me with any ingredients that are in my products, and especially controversial ingredients. I do not ever believe in looking up that ingredient with the word dangers. That is exactly how to put yourself in a Google hole where you find the worst advice out there. Instead, I like to go to the source. I like to PubMed articles on safety data of those ingredients. So using talc as this example here, I've noticed in a lot of clean beauty products, I see the words asbestos-free talc. And that sounds great, because I don't think any of us want asbestos in our beauty products, much less in our talc, right? Makes sense. But if you do more digging on this, you'll find out that in 1976, we stopped using asbestos in talc because the research was suggesting that talc in itself maybe isn't inherently dangerous, but asbestos-containing talc is. So what this boils down to, when you see asbestos-free talc in a clean beauty product, it doesn't mean that that talc is any different from talc as an ingredient appearing in a non-clean beauty product. You see how they play that? You gotta follow it. It's a little bit of a case of creating an issue where one doesn't exist. Nobody is using asbestos-containing talc, so labeling your product asbestos-free talc it's a given. It's a given. But if somebody doesn't know that, you could scare them into buying your product, and that's exactly what greenwashing is. Greenwashing is a marketing technique by which you scare people out of buying other products and push them towards yours. Oh God, I'm so sorry. I just noticed I was covered in those foundation flakes. Ugh, sorry. So you might be sitting there saying, okay, you just said you don't want talc in your beauty products, but then you said nobody's using asbestos-containing talc, which is the source of the issue. Yes, but the number one reason that I don't use talc in my beauty products is because it cannot be as finely milled as other alternatives, including mica. And I have dry skin, so I want my powders to be as finely milled as possible. But then there is the second reason, and that is that I wish the safety data on talc was a little more complete. So for this part of the video, we kind of have to define what I'm talking about. What is safety data and how is it gathered? This is where the fact that I studied research really becomes very helpful, because I can explain this to you. So when you're talking about safety data, you have three options on the table for how you're going to make sure that an ingredient is safe for people to use. Number one, you could use in vitro studies. And I'm sure you all know what that means. You know, you have a model. We're making great strides here, we really are, so don't give up this category, but as it stands, it could be better. Second option, animal testing. And yet a 3-year-old could tell you the problem with animal studies. You're not a rat. So then that leaves us with human studies, and there's kind of a very large and very obvious problem here. You face a lot of ethical questions. What are you gonna do? Force people to breathe talc? Because the IRB is not gonna approve that. Which leaves you with survey data. You can see if you can find people who've used talc for many years, right? But the problem with that is that you have to pay human participants to be involved in a study, and as somebody who ran primarily human studies, let me tell you, there's a lot of people that will sign up for your study to get $500 and they don't qualify, but they'll tell you they do. So I just used the RMS Contour Bronze, which I don't think I would have bought if I didn't absolutely love their bronzer so much, but man, I fell in love with this. I actually really like the shade that it is. It's a cooler toned contour bronzer with just a tiny bit of shimmer, and that appeals to me. I get that it doesn't appeal to everybody, but I actually really like this, and yet I'm gonna roast RMS later. And then I'm going to use the Aura Multi-Use Charisma Stick from Vapor and hope for the best. This and the lip gloss have been the only 2 products that I actually liked out of my Vapor order, but again, I'm going to talk about all that. I'm going to talk about all that later, I swear. So in terms of safety data, you know, I think that these questions are fair. I think that people should be asking more about this. But at the same time, I don't want to scare you out of using products, and that's why I always try to say, you know, make sure that you do your own research, and I mean that. Do your own research. Read up on these ingredients and determine for yourself if an ingredient is something that you feel comfortable using or not. And I think that could be a problem with the mentality in some of the clean makeup circles. It's a lot of relying on brands to do this research for you, and they may be right, but they may not be. You know, for example, with RMS, there's a lot of coconut oil in those products, so much coconut oil. And you know, that's great if that works for you, but if it doesn't, you could have a lot of breakouts. This is probably the newest product in this video. I got the eeeeh Liquid Light Serum Highlighter in the shade Nova as a Sephora sample. Liquid highlighter can be really tricky, but it can also be really pretty if it works out well. Speaking of brands doing this research for you, so I was on one of these brands' websites, and I noticed that they sit on their home page. It was something like, oh, what is isododecane? We don't know what that is. Should it be in our beauty products? And I was kind of really flustered when I read that, because I was sitting there thinking, well, we live in the age of Google. If somebody doesn't know what an ingredient is, it is very easy to find out. And for the record, isododecane is just an emollient that is used in place of oils in beauty products. It's not a scary ingredient. Terrible example, guys. All right, so I'm gonna use some of this Lawless setting powder, which I also really do like. It's just a good product, period. One thing I really wanted to address in this video is kind of a big overview of my thoughts on clean makeup as a whole. So one thing that I've done in these last couple of months is I followed all of these clean beauty brands on Instagram just to kind of see the kind of things that they were saying, and also because I like some of these brands. Well, you really learn a lot following brands on Instagram about what they really think, don't you? One thing that, you know, really was standing out to me is that it's fascinating how there's no men being represented, or at least very, very few. Really fascinating to me, because I believe Huda, right, was in trouble for this, and you certainly see men represented on Anastasia Beverly Hills. Wait, they're in trouble now. It's a lot to keep track of. But go look for yourselves if you don't believe me. There are very, very few men featured in these clean beauty products Instagrams. It's interesting. Does that mean that men are expected only to wear the very intense makeup brands and none of the Glossier type of styles? Why not? And I'll tell you guys what, I gained a big respect for the brand eeeeh, which I already did like, but after following them and then looking at their homepage, I really like what they're doing. And again, I already felt like their products were good quality. So let me read this to you. With roots in organic bases, vivid color, and active botanicals, it's makeup infused with skincare, being mindful that not every natural ingredient is good for the skin, nor is every synthetic bad. It usually requires a combination of both to achieve a truly exceptional product. And I wholeheartedly agree. And that's basically what I'm trying to say in this whole video. I don't think we necessarily need to demonize silicones. They probably work for some people and they probably don't work for others. Petrolatum, boy, that one really gets a lot of shade in the clean community, and that can be a great ingredient for some. And yet, natural ingredients such as coconut oil can go horribly wrong for some people. I think it's a lot more of us as customers seeing through the marketing and asking the real questions. Asking these questions about safety data as opposed to, caring about what brand trip is going on, what drama is going on between so-and-so's boyfriend. We just don't care about this stuff, or at least we shouldn't. I think too many people do, but we shouldn't. We should care about what matters. And again, at the end of the day, I really think it should just come down to using products that you like because you like them, as opposed to because you bought them out of fear that other products were harmful. Let me close out this video with some final thoughts on the products and the brands that I've used in this video. So first off, PYT, this little palette right here, really good quality palette. As you can tell, it is not skimping on pigment. Something that really stands out to me about PYT as well is that they do use biodegradable glitter, and they have quite a few very glittery products. They just came out with these glittery eyeshadows. I love their direction. I genuinely think that PYT should distance themselves a little from the clean world, because I don't think that that's their best audience, and I just think they haven't figured it out yet. They're making these very high pigment products that are better in terms of ethics, and it's something that people want, but people within the clean world might not actually want this much pigment. They might not want this much glitter. I just feel like they could redirect their whole advertising so much more, because their products, at least what I've tried so far, it's just good quality, period. The Bite Beauty Foundation, I have a whole video on this, so I'll just link that if you're interested. I already talked a little bit about eeeeh through this video. I don't really like this priming serum. I do like this Liquid Light Serum Highlighter, and I do like some other products that I've tried from them. Their foundation is absolutely phenomenal, but it's pricey. It is pricey. Vapor. I gotta tell you guys the story with Vapor. So I placed this rather large order through the Vapor website in November. What happened is, well, they said that they were changing the packaging on their products, but it seems instead they've reformulated absolutely everything, to which all I can say is good, because these products suck. I'm supposed to be less harsh as a YouTuber. I know I'm supposed to be less harsh. They suck in my personal opinion. You saw the foundation go on. Yeah, this was a giant order. Thankfully, it was very cheap because of that. And I really don't like anything aside from the lip gloss, which I am wearing, and the blush. And I understand these were some of their best sellers, and I see why, because this was just very frustrating. Side note here, on the topic of buying products and disliking them versus PR, I think people are always asking, can people be honest when they're reviewing PR? I absolutely believe that you can be honest, but you will never have the same level of emotion going into that review as when you bought a product yourself. I'm mad at these products because I spent money on them that I will never get back, and I'm mad. Versus when I get something I don't like in PR, where the most I can say is, yeah, I just personally didn't like it, not really sure I'd recommend it. It probably works for somebody. You can't replicate the emotion of spending your own money and regretting it. You cannot replicate that. Oh, it works the other way too. You can't replicate the emotion of spending a lot of money on something and feeling like you spent your money so wisely. Oh, you did so well. RMS. So I actually do like RMS products, probably because I tend to like coconut oil products, but that is such a giant aspect of the brand to note. I've heard a lot of people call RMS pigment in coconut oil, and y'all really aren't wrong. I've had RMS products go bad on me. I keep them in my refrigerator. They're probably still going bad on me anyway. The Lawless Setting Powder, I don't know that much about this brand. This is actually the only product that I've tried from them, but it's a really good powder. It's very finely milled, and again, that is very important to me. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope I answered some questions about my perspective and the clean makeup world. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked this video, please make sure to give it a like, hit subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.